Yeah, good afternoon. I hope you guys are good. Yeah, so this is the second lecture. I felt that it is good I should record this lecture so that those who didn't manage to join our lectures, to join our lecture too, they can have an opportunity to get this content. So last time we had an introduction to SQL, and now today is just a continuation of where we left. So today I just want us to, last time it was more on theory, and now today I want us just to go through this SQL Workbench so that now we can interact with this tool. We are going to create databases, create tables, use some of the queries to query those tables, and even see how we can alter those the data that we store in those tables. So uh, I will start by taking you through this MySQL Workbench so that you can familiarize with the number of icons, menus, so that you are not stuck anytime you are dealing with MySQL Workbench. So, and I'm going just to start with the very basic options that we have in this MySQL. And the first thing that you should familiarize with is how we navigate through this MySQL Workbench tool. So let's see. We are going to begin with the file. We have the file among the menus that we have here. So in the file, you're able to create new model. You're able to create new query tab. You see, like if I wanted to create a new query tab, you notice that I'm able to create a new query tab. This is what we call the new query tab. Among other options that we have in this file is open the recent file. If at all maybe you have recent files, you can always use this shortcut to navigate to the recent files. The other option that we have here is the run SQL script. So this one will be used to run our SQL script, but we have we have a shortcut to doing that. But if you want, you can maybe use this option. The other one is close connection tab, or you can just use the Control Shift F4, so that now you're able to close the connection. You're able to close the connection. So the other one is the close tab. There is the save script. So if at all maybe I've done some work and I want to save, you can just navigate to where we have files, and then you click this option. Or there is a shortcut for that. You can just Control S, and then you're able to save your work. Then you might want to save a script as using a certain name. You can just Control Shift S. Yeah, you can just Control Shift S. I think you can just Control Shift S, and then you realize that you have options of giving your file a name. So, but in this case, I don't want to save anything, so I can just close that. So those are some of the options that we have at this menu. That is a file. We have edit. Anytime maybe you want to paste some SQL queries, you can just use the edit menu here, and then you just paste or select all. But equally, we have shortcuts to these, so that you don't tie yourself by going to these options. Like for the paste, we have the Control V, and then for selecting all, you can just use the Control A. So you notice that we have in most cases here, in most cases we have the shortcuts to do some of these things. Then I think also at the edit we have the select next placeholder. I don't think this one is relevant at this stage. The format, maybe if you want to write your queries in uppercase, you can always use the uppercase keyword. The beautifying the query. Maybe if you want maybe to do what if you want to maybe do I call it align, or maybe organize your queries, you can always use the control B or the beautify query under this edit. You can as well as use the lowercase keywords, so like in this case we can just select these, and then you notice that all the keywords all the keywords are going to be in caps, so it's very easy. So you can also enable that in your, you can always you can enable that in your MySQL Workbench. So there is the auto complete. There is the shortcut for that. You can always control space, and then you can just navigate to now to preferences to set more, to have more settings, or maybe to customize the workbenches you want. There is the view. Like in this, you can view as home, you can view as panels, and then there is the select next main tab, alt shift right. All these options to help you navigate through this workbench. Then the other one is the query. In here we have options of executing the query, and you notice that here we are executing all. You have the execute all. That is all the selection. That is the control shift enter. For instance, if maybe I want to execute this, that is show databases. It should be databases. I can just control shift. What was the shortcut for that? Let's check again. That is the control shift enter. We can have control shift enter, and then you notice that this query is executed. We have other options of executing queries, so we are going to see that in a bit. So there is also the execute all to text. That is execute all or selection to text. So we have the control, we have the shortcut for that. We don't have the shortcut for that, but to execute the current statement, you can always control enter. Like in this case, this is our current statement, so you can always control enter to execute it. So I think that is it with the query. We have other options. I think you can during your free time you can also check the other options that we have. We have options of like reconnecting to the server. We have the limiting the number of rows that you can retrieve at a go. You notice that in my case, I have chosen limit to be 1000. So at any one given time, I can only be able to retrieve 1000 rows of data. But you can customize that. We have limits of up to 50,000. But in my case, it's just 1000. So what else should we cover? Maybe during your free time, you can also go through the other options that we have, so that now we can move forward to the database option. So in the database option here, you notice that you have options of connecting to a database. For instance, I can use this window to connect to my database, but I'm already connected to my SQL Workbench. So I don't have to I don't have like to connect again. So that is the reason as to why I want to cancel these. Then under these also we have that is advanced concept of reverse engineering. We don't want to do that at the moment. We have the migration wizard that is not relevant at the moment. We have the schema transfer wizard. Maybe we are going to see how we use some of these options later on in these. Um, maybe we are going to use these in the advanced part of SQL. So there is the edit type mapping for generic migration. I don't think that one is relevant at the moment. And then there is searching for table data. This is a long process of searching a table data. I'll show you a shortcut for doing for searching tables. Then we have the servers. Like in this case, you can just maybe check the server status. Like in this, in our case, it's up and running. So it's up and running. You can see that the local instance, that is MySQL 80. That is on the host. The host is my desktop, and the socket, and even you can see the port. And when you come where, let me see, there's available servers. I don't know. Yeah, if you were to check the server status here, you can see it's running, and even the CPU, the percentage of the CPU that is using it for on my machine. So I feel it's good you guys to know that anytime you are experiencing maybe some issues, uh, but this one is for mostly is for developers, so you don't have like to get much of these. You don't have like to worry about the server. Then we have, you can always start up and shut down the server, but I don't think that is relevant in this course. So I think that's all with the server option. Then we have the tools, so we have the configuration. I don't think at this stage we want to configure anything. And then we have now the scripting, where you have the scripting shell. With that one, I also don't think to use the shell at this moment. And then anytime you have some issues, you can just rush to help, and then you can choose what you can choose the option that you want the help from. Like let's say maybe you want to check for updates, you can always click that. Unfortunately, we are getting some errors. But anyway, that's all about these the top menu here. So let's get into the icons, whereby we have a create. We can use this icon to create new. Let's say maybe you want to create a new SQL tab here. You can always press this. I think even if you put your cursor, you're able to read through, create a new SQL tab for executing SQL queries. So you can always use this icon. There is also this other icon here, open SQL script file in a new tab. For instance, let's say maybe you want to open this one in a new what? Oops. Let's see this. Open a SQL script file in a new query. So you must, first of all, you must save the current file, so that now you can open a new tab. So but we rarely use some of these icons, but it's good to know what they do. There is this one for creating new schema. You're going to use this one most of the times when you are creating new schemas or creating new databases. I think this is the most reused icon here for creating a new schema in the connected server. Like in our case here, we we already connected to this local instance, that is MySQL 80. For this one is for creating a table, but I'm going to show you a shortcut for creating a table. Then we have create a new view in the active. I don't think these are all of these are relevant at this stage, but at least know we have this one. We have this icon for creating a new schema. This icon over here. Then we have this one for creating tables. So I think that's all you need to know at the moment. And before I forget, on your extreme left here, this is where we have all the schemas that we have created, all the databases that we have created, depending on which DBMS you're using. In this case, we're using the MySQL. So we MySQL do call them schemas, or you can just call them databases. So these are the list of the databases that I have at the moment. So this way, anytime you create maybe a database, when you click that, you're able to name your database here. Like for this one, you can just call it maybe test, and then you just click apply. Let's click OK, and then apply again. And then you notice that you have managed to create a new schema. So when you finish, you can just cancel that. And for you to see it here, you can always refresh if it doesn't show. But in our case, it is showing. You can see that now we have a test schema or test database, of which now we can I think delete this one because we don't need it. Anytime you want to delete again a schema, you just have like to right click on that schema, and then you're going to see some option here to drop the schema. So in this case, we just want to drop it now. Yeah, I think that's all about that's all about how that is all about how we navigate through this this tool. Then maybe something else. Anytime you execute your file or execute your query, this is where you're going to see the results. This is where you're going to see the results, and below here you're going to see the logs. Like in this case, when I just maybe try and execute that, when I try and show databases, you can see I'm getting the databases that I have in my SQL Workbench. Then down below here, you're going to see the logs. But the logs, I just mean that these are just logs showing, if your SQL query has executed successfully or not. If it has executed successfully, you should be able to see a green circle here with a white tick. If let's say maybe you have an error, if I try to execute this now, you notice that I'm getting an X, simply because my SQL query has an error. So I think that's all about familiarizing with this tool. I know you are going to learn more as we continue to use it. So let's jump into some theories here before we jump into creating some database. So in here, I just want us to check the differences between information database. That is the differences between data, information, and database. And data, we are saying that data are raw facts or figures without context. So these are just you can have we can have an example here where we have 15A and then James. You notice that these are figures, but you can't tell what this means. Like anytime you don't know whether it is 15 laptops, 15 cows, 15 goats, you don't know. You don't know what is A. All you know is an alphabet. Then James, at least you know James is the name of a person. But now having these 15A James, these are just figures without context. Then what is information? Information, we are saying that this is now the processed or meaningful data that helps in decision making. Like we can have James scored A in his exam. Now you notice that that statement alone makes sense, because now we have just processed the figures that we had initially in data, that is 15A and James, to make some sense out of it. That is James scored grade A in his exams. So then what else do we then let's check the database. What is a database? I think I initially defined database in the last lecture, and we say that a database is a structured collection of related data stored electronically. So you can simply say that it is a structured collection of related data stored electronically. So I think that's all about the those are some of the differences between data information and database. Then what else did I feel that it is? What else did I feel that it is important to check is the differences between what is the difference between DBMS and an RDMS. So what is DBMS? You're saying that DBMS is a software that helps you to create, store, manage, and retrieve data from databases. We have a number of examples that we have under these DBMS, like the Microsoft Access. I'm sure you guys have in one way or the other interacted with Microsoft Access in your office. So that is an example of a DBMS. And then we have the SQLite. Maybe just try and type in your Google, that is the SQLite, and then maybe you're going to learn more about the SQLite. Then we have the FileMaker, also is an example of a DBMS. So what about now the RDBMS? RDBMS just means that this is the Relational Database Management System. And we are saying that RDBMS is an advanced type of DBMS that stores data in a related table using SQL. That is structured query language. And this SQL is what we are going now to learn in this course called SQL. So I think that is some of the examples of the RDBMS is MySQL. As you can see here, we have MySQL Workbench. Then we have Oracle, we have Postgres, and then we have SQL Server. Maybe for those of you who want to advance to maybe database engineers, you will interact with the SQL Server and know what it is and what it does. So I think those are some of the things that I feel it's good. It's good for us to know before even we get into the structured query language commands. So, and that is it. I think we can just now move forward to SQL queries commands. I think I should add commands. Yeah, these are now the SQL query commands. But before even we get into the SQL query command, because as I had stated earlier, that these SQL commands will help us to interact with the database. So before even we get into the SQL commands, I think it's good that we create a database, and then in that database you're going to create a table. I think you can just create maybe 2 tables in it. And then we can use the SQL queries commands to interact with that data. So why don't we jump into creating a database? We can just create a very simple database, and we are going to use this icon over here. So I'll just click on that, and then maybe I can just create a database called students. Let's create a database called students, and then I'll click apply. Then I can just assume that, and then click apply again, and then you notice that this has been executed successfully. So I can just click finish. I can just clear that. So now when we come here, we're able to see that we have student schema or student database here. But if I just click these icon here, or this drop down here, you notice that now inside these students database, we have tables, we have views, we have stored procedure, and then we have functions. We are going to cover all of these and understand what they mean. But in this lecture, we are going just to check the tables. So you can choose to create a table using a query here. Let's just use, and before even we create a table, if we want to work with this database, we must specify that database, or we must choose this database. So how do we do that? We use the use command, use, and then the database name. Like in this case, it's called students. Yes, and use student, and then we just execute that. You can execute that using either using this icon, or you can just control enter. So and then after executing that, you notice that the students is now in bold, meaning that we are already inside this database. Now in here, I just want us to create just a simple table, and how we do that is quite simple. Let's create a table called learners, and in this table we can have column searches. Column searches. We're going to have the name of the student, student ID, student underscore ID, and then we can have course, the course which the student is undertaking. I think even we should have started with the student ID, and then name, course, and then we can have admission number. Let's have admission number. Admission underscore number. So let's create that table. It's very easy. We use the create command. This is create table learners, we're going to create a table called learners, and then in here we are going to have we are going to have the columns and the data type. So we are going to start with student ID, which is of type integer. You guys, I hope you remember the data types that we learned during the last lecture. So we have name. Oops. We have name. This one is of type. It has data type varchar, and then we must specify the number of characters that it should have. Then we have the course. And even the course is of type varchar. Then you can just also specify the number of bb characters it should hold. And you notice that all these fields, they are separated by commas. So if you fail to write the comma at the end of each and every field, you are going to get an error. So and then the last one is the admission number. So you can just call it the admission underscore number. You can just use no. Yeah, this one can be of type also varchar, because it will be a mixture of maybe letters and mixture of numbers and letters. So we can just give it maybe 10. I don't think it can exceed 10. So then what else should be varchar? I don't think we need anything else with this. So this is our table, create table, learners, and then we have student ID, name, course, and admission number. So I think we can now execute these. We can just highlight that and click this icon here. So, and you can see here where we are recording our logs that a table has been created successfully. So now if I refresh this, we should be able to see our table here that is called learners. For you to execute and see what are the contents of this table, you can just click the third icon here. We have the first one, second one, and the third one at the end. So, and now you notice that this is the structure of our table inside the student database. So, but in here we don't have any data. So we must insert data in this database, or in this table, and that is what we are going to do next. Inserting data in our database here. So let's do some insert data in the learners table, or in the learners database. It should be database. So it's quite easy how we do it. We use the insert command, and now you notice from what we learned from the last lecture, this is what we call the comments, the single line comments, using the two hyphens and then writing the description after those two hyphens. So inside down here, we are going to insert data in the learners database, and we do that by using the insert command. Insert into, and then we must now specify the table we want to insert into, that is the learners. And what do we want to insert? We always start with the field name, then value, then values that we want to insert, then semicolon. So it is insert into, then we are going now to have the student ID, student underscore ID, comma, the name, and then course, then we have admission number. So this is the data that we want to insert. That is the student ID, name, then course. Then what are the values? The values you can just have, you can start with 101 as the ID of the student. Then for the character names, you must enclose these using quotation. So we can have the first name as Nancy, Nancy Mwangi, and then we can have the course. Let's say she's taking that is Bachelor of Science in Computer Science. Computer Science. Then what is her admission number? We can say her admission number is B 135 16 181 2024. So that is her admission number. So you notice that is her admission number. And now we can just now execute this, and we should be able to get our data into the database. So let's execute that very fast. Oops, and it seems we have an error. We are told that data too long for column admission row. You notice that in the admission row here, we specified that the number of characters, this should be 10. But you see the admission here exceeds 10. So we can just recreate this table. We can just delete this one. You can just drop that table. Let's drop it and increase this maybe to 20, and then recreate that table. Let's execute it again. It has created, and now if we try to insert some data here, we should be able to get that data into that database. Now for you to see the data, for you now to see the data in that table, we use the select keyword. Use select. Let's see. Select all from. We are selecting all from. Now our table name. So if you use this command, we should be able to get the data. And now you notice that our table has one record. In fact, we call the data in these tables, we call them records. So we have at least one record here. So I think you can just repeat this for a couple of times, so that at least now we can have a number of records. So now we can change this one maybe to 1 or 2. Now we are going to have Joseph. We can have Joseph Mwangi, also doing computer science, but now here he is in admission number is 161 82. Then let's have another record of Judy. Judy. You can have Judy Chelimo. You can have this Judy Chelimo here. Also studying BSc, but now IT. Let's have ICT. then with this one you're going to have B136, and then this one can be 6186. So I think you can also execute this one. Yeah, I think now we have like 3 records. I think we can work with those ones. So if now we try and select all from our database here, we should be able to see that we have, oops. Also, we should, I think, change this one to something like 3103. Let's execute that. Yeah, and then we can now, so that now we can have three records. So basically that is how we create a database. And we create a database, we create a table, and even insert some data into that table. So that is how we create a table and insert data into it. So let's see what next after this. So we are saying that we have now insert. I think we have covered the insert into. We have also used the select command. Maybe what you are remaining with is how to update maybe student. We can update maybe student data, and then the delete. So let's check how we can do that very fast. Let's say maybe we want to update the course name, for Judy Cherimo. So how do we do that? This is an update query. So how do we do it? Is this going to say update? We specify the table that is learners. Then we are going to set course. Course is equals to